It is so awesome to have amazing and talented friends, and you are going to get the full Mo experience today. Real Talk has nothing to do with promoting anybody's business, my personal brand, Mo's brand, or any of my guests' brand. It's about just reaching out to people that I appreciate their thought process, who they are as a humans, how they handle their business and everything, and just saying, what are you currently passionate about? If you could talk about anything right now, what would you want to talk about? So when I reached out to Mo, she said, I would love to talk about personal development. Are you kidding me? An hour with Mo? Personal development. That's like her life brand. I love it. So she helps a lot of people with personal development, but we kind of dove into it not just for other people, but where she sees it in her personal life and where her journey was as far as starting personal development and what her ongoing journey is on that. And so we really kind of dive into that conversation from both of our sides. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. And I am just blessed that Mo was able to take an hour with us on that. If you have not already, because she's not really going to promote her business in this, I'm going to tell you, you need to go to iloveitwhen.org. And I Love It When is she is the CEO and owner. And if you have an organization, you have a team, I'm telling you one thing that I would promote on her. I love what she does for the teams on one-day retreats. There's something about that she gets teams out of their comfort zone and helps them to move forward. And I love that. She brings agents, she brings admins, she brings the leadership all together and gets them on the same page. She is freakishly talented at that. So she's not going to talk about it in this video, but I wanted to bring that up. So go visit her website, get her booked to work with your team. Now here's Mo on personal development. So Mo, thank you for doing this. Love you, love you, love you. You already know that. And everybody's already seen the intro, and I've already told you what I'm going to ask you first. Okay. You chose the topic personal development. So the fact is right now you and Kathleen have the coolest little thing going on for the next year for a whole group of people that are, in my opinion, it may be a group of professionals all in a similar industry as far as real estate admin. But I honestly believe that most of them are kind of coming to you guys more for personal development, mindset, all of those types of things. Do you mind just telling us a little bit, what the heck is that? And what is going on with that? You know, I thought it was cool when you guys promoted it, but now that it's going, none of us really know what's going on behind the curtain. So I'm just curious, what is that all about? If you could share that with us.
What is this super secret club? Yes.
I love it.
Yes. So it is. Majority of it is personal development. And so when you talk about, I see you post all the time about self-awareness. And I actually just watched your video with Vanessa where you brought up self-awareness again. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in kind of shining a light directly on that and really digging in. And so our group, BU, the Inner Circle, is a group specifically for real estate admin right now. And I just believe that in my time in the industry in the last 8 years, a lot gets provided to the real estate agent and the owner of the team, the company, what have you. And I just found that not enough of the resources and money were pointed towards the people that help support the business. And so this is not your typical admin group. And I think we're on a journey that a lot of them are kind of discovering, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Yep. Because many of them have never really experienced it before. Like, why am I looking so much at my own self-awareness, and how is this going to impact my business? And from what I've learned through my life and what Kathleen has learned as well, it impacts everything. And so helping them kind of understand why we're doing that. So behind the scenes, we're having conversations twice a month as a big group. They all have their own accountability group. So it's right now, we're in stage 2. We just started the third month, and they have 6 people in their groups, and they meet with their group one time outside of our big group meetings. And it's to focus on, this stage is all focused on claiming it. So in the first 2 months, we talked about when you were born, we get programmed and conditioned, whether we know it or not, by our parents, teachers, community, society. We get things that are just put in us. And what are some of those things that we want to remove or look at? And so now we're naming it, we've named it, now we're claiming it. And so it's a really interesting process that even Kathleen and I are going through with people. Like, this is the first time we've ever done this. So that's a little bit about it.
So if I was smart, I already wrote a bunch of notes. If I was smart, I would kind of trail this out over the next half hour. I'm just going to throw them all at you right now. And I just want to know kind of what comes at. First
Okay.
of all, you pointed out self-awareness. And my statement is always, self-awareness is my freaking superpower. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm all about that. The BU inner circle, I've also heard you when you talk about the BU inner circle, is that it really is it's both a safe place and an amazing, powerful place to talk about soft skills and developing the soft skills. So
Yes.
and then the last thing is something that you just said, that it'll affect them in their professional life, but also in their personal life, goes to a statement that I just can't stop saying, which is who I am. Everything that I do is based on, I want it to be so that who I am sometimes is who I am all the time. To me, to be one person while I'm at work and one person when I come home in front of Dina, are you kidding me? That's exhausting.
Exhausting. Yeah.
I don't have the time of day for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to be one consistent human being with one consistent set of principles that determines how I handle every situation.
Yeah.
So talk to me about some of those things, whether it's self-awareness, whether it be the soft skills, whether it be who I am. I mean, you kind of hit on all those things in about 3 minutes. And I want to point and pull some of those things out
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Please
those
do.
all resonate with me.
Yeah, no, please do. And just so that you're aware, I don't think I've said this to you yet. I'm really, I feel like I have all this stuff about to burst out of me right now. So you caught me at a time when I'm probably going to just let a lot of things flow through, and you might have to ask me some questions.
I love it. Go for it.
Just bustling with a lot of things in my head that I've been thinking about. So self-awareness, I feel like I'm on a constant journey of discovering the things I don't know, or the things that I don't realize that I do or think or act or believe. Because I think the more we look at ourselves and we look at the patterns and the way we have learned things, the better human we can be in the world. So right with COVID over the last year and Black Lives Matter movement and talking about racism, sexism, classism, the most important thing we can do, and I believe for myself as a white person, as a white woman, the best thing I can do is spend time looking at how am I contributing, how am I participating, how am I either adding to or taking away from something in my community. And so it can oftentimes feel really overwhelming to think about all the things going on in the world and in our country. And one way that I really help myself to be able to take action and be able to feel like I can participate in a positive manner is to think about, well, what am I doing? What am I doing in my business? What am I doing in my daily conversations with the people that I have in my community right around here, in my neighborhood, my family, and then you guys that are all online that I talk with all the time. So self-awareness to me is a necessity. And I think what I've realized over the years, and the reason I'm so passionate about BU, the inner circle, and about my retreat and about my business, is because I want to help people look at the parts that they feel like they have shame with, or that they have some sort of, they have an inability to look at, because there's no shame at looking at mistakes that we've made or things that we want to change. That's the beauty of it, is we get to evolve and change. And there's no shame in that.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up, you said evolve and change. Okay, evolve and change. So I almost feel like sometimes things like self-awareness are put on a pedestal that quite frankly is not earned. And what I mean by that is this, is I think that some people say, well, he's just, he's naturally happy, or he's naturally self-aware, or give me a break. These are learnable skills.
Yes.
I'd be screwed if it came down to the fact that you either had it or you didn't. Almost anything that I am is based on the fact that I empower myself, that I don't believe anything is a given.
Yes.
If I want to be more self-aware, I can be around people that are freakishly self-aware and learn from them. There are tools, there are skills, there are places you can go. And that's kind of what you guys are doing with this BU inner circle. It's almost, for lack of a better term, it is just a freakish level of empowering people.
And that's what and that's exactly what you just said. You nailed it. And I get that. I've had that feedback from people too. Oh, you're just happy all the time. You're just positive all the time. No, I'm definitely not. And I absolutely share that. I share that with people. And I think what they don't realize is when you talk about self-discipline and you post about self-discipline and self-awareness, I want people to understand that anybody can have this. Anybody can have like you said, it's not on a pedestal. No, it's the consistent daily, everyday work that I put into it. And it's nothing special. It's nothing special at all.
You
So
need
I
to
could
put the
agree.
work in. I mean, you literally can have it if you're willing to put the work in.
Yes.
And the phrase that just, I mean, it just shattered my life and my image, you know, when I was in my early 20s, is someone actually, Les Brown. And he said, figure out what you want. And if you truly want it, commit to read one book on
Yeah.
that topic every month without exception for 5 years in a row. And after 5 years, whatever that topic is, you will become most likely, if you read one book for 5 years, every single month, a different book, you'll become one of the top 5% experts in that area.
Yeah.
And mine, I didn't have peace and contentment.
Mm.
At the time, I had mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
I dealt with deep depression. I dealt with deep anxieties.
Mm-hmm.
I was not Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I wanted to understand peace and contentment. It wasn't something that I wanted to give it more credit than it deserved, that either some people had it and some people didn't. It was natural or it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, it doesn't matter where we're at from an emotional standpoint, from a personal development standpoint. If
Mm-hmm.
you want it that bad, these things are not on a pedestal. If you want to go get it, go get it. Go
Yeah.
freaking go get it. And what you guys are doing as a group, you're so empowering these people. It's unbelievable. And I love that. So I love that you're doing this. How long have you been thinking about doing this? Because you've been doing some form of retreats, but those retreats are like 2, 3, 4 days. This is like almost like a year-long journey for these people.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing something like this for probably 3 or 4 years now. But the thing that's really cool is having partnered with Kathleen.
Yeah.
We come from very, we not only is there an age difference, but I joke with Kathleen all the time. Like, I don't think of her as being older than me. It's just she has different life experiences and more life experiences in some ways. But we have such an interesting, I guess you'd call it like, I don't know if it's synchronicity or synergy. Synergy is the word I'm thinking of. We have such a unique synergy that it's a really good match. And it just felt like it was the right time too, for this to happen. Like, so it's been really cool to see it unfold.
Yeah. And I'm obviously huge fans of both of you and close to both of you. So to see the two of you, first of all, kind of work with each other a little bit more from a distance. And now to be working this directly together is so fun for me to watch. All right. So I've got a couple questions here and we can just banter back and forth. And if we end up getting into one question and it takes us the rest of the way, God bless us. If not, who knows how many of these we'll actually get to, but I did send these to you ahead of time because these are things that I was genuinely curious about. Is the first one, it says, what does personal development mean to us? And I think we just kind of talked a little bit about that, is that we don't put it on a pedestal. It's something, if you want it, go get it. Absolutely go get it. But, be willing to put in the work. I'm curious, how diligent are you in the pursuit of this? And is that always true?
How diligent am I in the pursuit of this? And is that always true?
In the pursuit of personal development.
I would love to hear from one of my friends that are in like my inner circle, or because I am obsessive about it.
Okay.
I'm obsessive.
You were thinking so long. I'm like, where is she going with this? Obsessive. Okay, obsessive. I got it.
Well, and it's taken me a while to recognize. Sometimes when you're in the midst of your own life or the things that are happening with you, you don't really realize. But I've heard this from people outside of me, and it's true. I am, and so people might say that I'm obsessive about my business. No, what I'm actually like most obsessive about is what else can I learn about myself? How else can I better utilize the tools that I've been given for the world? And it's a constant. I'm like a dog after a bone, and that whole saying, like, I can't put it down. The only time I allow myself to put it down is when I take care of myself, which I'm much more diligent about now than I used to be. Putting in, what does self-care look like? It's such a popular hot word. Self-care for me happens every day in all the little in-between pieces. It's drinking water. It's like pausing to listen to some music, whatever it might need. So, but I am obsessive with personal growth because I
When
think
did that start?
it started.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me ask it this way. Not when did it start? When did you become self-aware that you were?
I was like
It may have
30.
started before you were even really self-aware that this is a thing for you.
Yeah, I don't think I was aware of it, but I realized that I didn't want to stop school. So when I got done with college and I did my undergrad in art and sociology, first of all, why did I double major? There was no reason to. Why? But because I always knew that I needed to add more, like I needed to look at more. I needed to figure out what I really loved to do. So the only reason I got my master's in social work was because I wasn't done with school yet.
Yep.
And I knew that I loved people. So I was not aware that I was beginning to dig in there, but now I look back and I can see it happening. I became aware of it when I was like 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that before you joined Jesse or after?
After.
That was
It's
after.
because of the Keller Williams that he implemented in the team. It's because of the Keller Williams push on personal development that I realized. I mean, I remember the moment I told him, I said, "You've just unleashed a beast. Do you know what you've done?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "You've just exposed me to something that for some reason I never had any exposure to. This whole self-help would be the most popular term for it at the time. You just exposed me to something that I had for some reason I didn't know existed. And good luck. Like now that I can't not look at it now."
Okay, now that we brought up Jesse, because I want a huge shout out to Jesse, because one of my questions later is, who has influenced you to actually dive a little deeper into the personal development side? And Jesse definitely, God bless his soul, not only did he have a team culture that you guys read books together, you guys had discussions about the books that you guys read together on personal development, fierce conversations. I mean, I'm going to use that one as an example because it was a personal development on communications, but at the same time, you didn't, I mean, those that don't know you, give me a freaking break. How many people just read the book, then they do it with the team, then they have a team discussion, then you actually reach out to the author and go to her house, her tree house. Then you have her join you on a retreat that you're sponsoring and put together. And now, aren't you working on becoming certified with her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the books I've read, I've never gone through that journey. What is wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I love it.
This is the part where some people are like, "Oh God, why'd you?" But it was that the concepts that she covers in that book are what I was not good at.
Yeah.
And so when I find something I'm not good at, I zero in on it and I'm like, I'm going to pour all of my energy into this because I knew that I needed to get better at having hard conversations. I needed to be able to say the hard things. And now I say the hard things all the times and I make other people cringe. And it's kind of the people laugh about it and they joke about it like, "Oh, go to one of Margaret's retreats and you're totally going to just get effed up." And they joke and I laugh with them. And the truth of it is, we'll have these moments. And I think Melissa Weidling from Bellingham said it best when she said, "This feels like real life to me. Everything else feels like time just passes and it's a job and it's what we have to do. This is real life." And it's because we're talking about the real things, which so many people are just, I get it. Just, it's a scary thing to do. But once you do it, it's the kind of how I felt about personal development. I can't stop doing it because this is the stuff that fuels me.
I didn't know for sure that we'd go down this path, and I'm glad that this kind of came up in the way that it has. And what I mean by that is you've got to be willing to put in the work. Okay, this is a decision. It's not again putting nothing on a pedestal that person is just naturally happier. That person is naturally looks and sees the positive or anything. You actually took a book that anybody could grab off of a personal development book, and the journey that you took with that book.
Yeah,
that didn't come for free. You were willing to put in the work. Now, for me, I mean, I get people that are like, "I don't even understand some of the stuff you talk about, David." When you say you read the book and then you're going to read it and then you read it to yourself and you record it and you listen to yourself reading it to yourself while you drive somewhere because, and all this other kind of stuff. And then you listen to yourself say it. And if you listen to it for 5 minutes, then you have to pause it for 5 minutes and pretend that your son is sitting in the seat next to you. And then you have to actually try to, if my son was sitting here, how would I say that to him in my own words?
I mean,
that's how often I go through that.
Yeah, that's because you're a teacher. And I think what people have to realize is we are all teachers. Well, I'm not the only teacher. You're not the only. We are all our own best teachers. So when you're regurgitating, taking in that information in your own voice, then thinking about how you would tell your son
Yeah.
about it, that's how you're deeply learning it.
Yep.
And anybody, like you said, so I'm curious, what do you think, what does it mean to you to do the work?
So and I'm just going to, I'll use, because I know that we both meditate. Okay. So meditation to me, I see it kind of like this. I think sometimes and I'm going to use meditation as an example, because to me, you could put together a meditation practice and really put the work into building a meditation practice, or it can just be kind of a trendy thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yoga can be a trendy thing.
Yeah.
Meditation can be everything can be a trendy thing. Oh, I've seen this, I've seen that. And I kind of like the idea of having a cool little meditation cushion in my corner and a cool little meditation setup that I'll probably never visit again. Or if I do go visit it, I will never think of anything other than why I'm mad and what's eaten tonight and whatever. Okay. So meditation practice for me was this. Again, this was back in a period where I was blessed that I had an aunt that was a meditation teacher. It was part of her practice.
Oh, wow.
And I had mental health issues and dealt with deep depressions and anxieties. And I wanted it not for any trendy thing in any way, shape, or form. There was some inkling that could help me have emotional self-control. So why did I get into meditation? There was actually, to do the work, I had to have a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the purpose. So why do you want to think more positively? Why do you want, what is your actual purpose? So for me, the purpose is because of depression and everything else and anxieties, I wanted to learn to build up the muscle. I consider it a muscle, my emotional self-control muscle. And something gave me the inkling that might be a tool that I could have on my tool belt that might help me in that. Now, what is putting in the work? I had to do the research of what emotional self-control even meant and to see how that applied to meditation. I had to learn a bunch of meditation techniques and then try to tie these together. There was so much research, so much practice, so much failure, and coming back at it. There was so much of spending my own money and going to seminars about other people teaching about it. There was so much about reaching out to people and go, does this really work for you? Or are you just sitting there quiet and your mind is wandering as much as mine? Then it was picking up the books. That was at that age in my early 20s where I heard Les Brown say, one book per month, every month, a different book, same topic for 5 years. So I started reading things of people that have had a huge influence on my life, such as Thich Nhat Hanh and other people. And he started talking about walking meditation. I'm like, oh, no. This is all done on a cushion in a living room somewhere. And he's talking about walking meditation. Then he talked about meditation. I'll never forget it when he did, because he talks about it a couple times in his book, meditation while you're doing dishes. I'm like, this guy's a freak, but I got to try that. And it took me real work. So when I say work, there was so much study, there was so much asking questions, there was so much searching. I was willing to put in the work. And then the other part of it, and it started with, when you asked, what does putting in the work mean to you? It starts with, I had a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I knew I wanted something.
Like when you said, that sounds weird, that sounds like a freak who would meditate while washing the dishes. What made you say, I got to try it though?
Okay, so a couple things, because that wasn't day 2 of the journey.
Okay. Yes.
Let's just be honest. If I would have heard that on day 2 of the journey, I'd be like, okay, so that's a dude I never need to read again. Okay. That was a little ways in the journey. So luckily I had a purpose. So I researched and I practiced and I learned a few things and I experienced some things that I considered, and you know what I talk about all the time. It's always about mini wins. I'm never looking for the big victory. I'm looking for little mini win after little mini win. I want 3 mini wins every day. It's a huge focus for me. Okay. I had been experiencing these mini wins and losses, but mini wins over probably a 2.5 to 3.5 year period. All of a sudden I get introduced to that, and I already had the experience that wins could be had. I also knew that he was a master and he was talking about something weird. But other people at some point have been talking about things that maybe I felt were a little off base or weird, but now I've experienced wins in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So now it came to the point that, and now it's just natural. I mean, Dina's not allowed to touch dishes after because I can't cook. And we all know I can't cook. Okay. Dina cooks, but that also, it became a thing where I just love to do dishes. Now, part of it is she's serving me with the cooking side. So why should she clean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just fair play because I can't cook. Okay. The second thing is I don't know what it is about doing dishes now. Dishes brings me peace and contentment. Isn't that weird? Okay, just really weird. So again, I was willing to put in the work. I put in so much work that now I can hear very obscure things.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've built up skills on how to apply those into what I'm trying to achieve. But what I'm trying to achieve always has to start with, what's my purpose of that?
Yeah.
What's my purpose? Okay. Now I knew I couldn't have a great marriage. I knew I wouldn't be a great father. I knew I wouldn't be a great anything in my life that mattered to me if I didn't have emotional self-control. If I couldn't somehow figure out what is this thing about peace and contentment.
Mm-hmm.
That's my jam. It was my jam back in my early 20s because I didn't want to live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So those became my jam. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because I'll be 50 this year. Those are still my jam.
Yeah.
And that's okay if someone else, their jam ends up changing after a couple of years. Mine just happened to stay the same.
Makes sense.
You know, and you've known me long enough. When I say that those are my jam, you see those.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have it written on my bedroom wall because you said those were the words you suggested. Yeah.
All right. That's enough about me. Let me ask you this, I'm curious because I'm going to go to this question because you almost kind of asked it of me. What specifically is working for each of us? So what is specifically working for you? So meditation, I'll be honest, it took a lot of practice, a lot of learning, a lot of studying, a lot of everything, and it works for me. Okay. Someone starts that tomorrow and they think it's going to work for them. You're a better human than I am because it took me a long time to really get the value I know that is there out of it. And if they get it sooner, God bless them. But so that's what's working for me. One thing anyways, what is working for you on the personal development side? What things either are currently working for you or have been working for you over the last couple of years? And it might be multiple things.
Okay. So not so much what I asked you, like, how do you do the work, but what is working for me?
Yeah. What's actually effective?
What's effective?
Yeah. What's effective? Helping to improve your personal development.
So I would definitely say that for me as well, it's meditation. And that's like you just said, it's not that I started doing it and miraculous things started happening. It's the daily discipline. So yesterday, as an example, yesterday was Monday. I got in a really dark, deep place where I was like, it's hopeless. What's the point? Like what is the point? And then I work through the process of getting to the point where someone else asked me, well, it is hopeless. And that's when my reaction to that is, it is not hopeless.
Yeah.
And that is what hauled me out of that place. And
it's different if we say it, but we won't accept it from someone else.
No, hell no. And the thing about meditation that has gotten me is that I have always been of service to other people to such an extent that I had gotten into the habit for the first 35 years of my life of not pausing enough to think to myself or listen to myself. And so meditation has given me the habit of, even if I pause for just 5 minutes a day, I'm pausing enough to hear me. And I needed to be heard. And so by allowing myself to hear myself, I know more of what I want. And right now, what I want more of is exploring my spiritual side. And so that's what I'm giving to myself. And giving myself that gift, it feels more like home than anything I've ever experienced. And that's like, it's been such a blessing. So it's the meditation, I would say that's working for me. Okay. It's also affirmations, because I've needed to rewire some things that I say to myself
Okay.
Like, I am not worthy of that. I am not pretty. I am not intelligent. I am not intuitive. Intuition is just a joke. Like some things that I'd, had heard over the years, I needed to rewire that. So affirmations for me, listening to my own voice, it's interesting to me because when I went back to asking you that question of why did you say yes to trying meditation while doing the dishes, it's become very apparent to me that one of the biggest things that's missing for a lot of people is just their willingness to try something. And I've been willing to try the silly things. And guess what? The silly things are what worked for me. So
Yeah, and the silly things are in a certain perspective.
mhm.
Okay. Um, so what might have been silly to me when I started meditation, after I've had enough successes, that may be still a far reach off,
Mhm.
but I'm much closer to it and am willing to admit, okay, so some of the things that are working for me now, I would have considered silly things at one.
Yes, yes. And
So,
that's me using my words from before of like, oh, it's meditation. I'm not going to be one of those, meditative yoga princess people. Like, how can some doing something 5 minutes a day really change much for you?
I think it would be fun if we just paused right now and both of us meditated and we show everybody how we actually levitate, how we do the levitation thing.
Yeah, every day, come off the ground further. It's just like,
So I want to, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm just asking because you threw a couple words out as if they were separate, and to me they've become very much intertwined for me, and I can see both being effective. It's just how we use them. So
yeah.
you mentioned meditation, affirmations, and listening to yourself.
Mhm.
Okay, so those at one point, I think probably when I was in my early 20s and stuff like that, and I started, listening to people like Les Brown and Zig Ziglar and all these other, well-known speakers back in the day. And Jim Rohn's one of my favorites, okay? And they would say, talk to yourself and do these affirmations. Then I'm looking in a separate camp that's talking about meditation. And all these different practices were very separate things for me now. They almost can't be separated for me now.
Mhm.
So a lot of my meditations start and sometimes they end. I mean, sometimes it's the whole way through. It's almost affirmations the entire time.
Mhm.
And so it's and you've seen the graphic, I think, where it's, breathing in is gratitude, breathing out is service. So
Mhm.
that's how I start a lot of my meditations, and I'm going to usually go, and it's the number's always 3 for me, it's going to be, so if I'm going to start with Dina, I'm going to mention 3 things on the first 3 breaths in that I'm grateful for about Dina.
Mhm.
Okay. And 3 ways I'm going to give that back to her. So breathing in, I know that girl loves me.
Mhm.
Breathing out, I will make sure that girl knows she's loved. Okay. And I will say something like that. And every time I'm not allowed to repeat what I just said, I have to say it differently.
Okay.
So breathing in, that girl, I am so grateful for how much she loves me. Breathing out, I will make sure that girl knows she is respected.
Mhm.
Breathing in, and I will make sure it's different each time so that it doesn't become rote.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have to think about, now when I'm breathing that in, I'm doing a gratitude practice.
Mhm.
I'm doing affirmations that I can be loved.
Mhm.
I am realizing just how amazing this woman is to me. But then none of that means anything if I'm not giving something of service back.
Mhm.
So now I can't continue to confess that I'm going to make sure that girl knows that she is loved and that girl knows she is respected, and then go out and not do it.
Mhm.
That would put me right back down if I knew that was my habit of saying it over and over again and not doing it. That would drive me into a deep depression because I'd know I'm a loser because I just said that I said it, but I'm not doing
Yeah.
it.
So like lacking integrity with yourself. Yeah.
100% lacking integrity. So my meditations, my affirmations, all those types of things, they've all become part of one world for me. And I'm curious, have you played with any of that?
Yes. What you just reminded me of is so intention. So when I think about my affirmations, they're also my intentions on the daily, which is
Okay.
why I'm so passionate, which is why I'm so obsessive, because I am constantly paying attention to how am I thinking? What am I saying to this person? Am I present? Because
Yep.
those are some affirmations that I said this morning. I am present. I am engaged. I am a good listener. So then I'm acting those things out every day. And that's the work. And that's the part that I think when people first start doing this work, it's exhausting because you are building new habits. And you're putting a lot more energy into your day when
Yep.
you realize, oh, I've just been sitting back and letting my day pass me, or letting myself react to what happens throughout the day rather than taking control of yourself and your emotions and putting in what you want your day to look like. I want to have a fun, like joyful day. And so you can bet that that's what I'm going to be putting out there.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think understanding that feeling peace and feeling contentment
Yeah.
has a lot to do with what you're putting out there. I don't think people realize, yeah, that is the work. That is the work,
Yep.
is being very intentional in every moment and being aware and being present. And that takes a lot of energy.
When you just talked about, I want to have a joyful day. So for me, now granted, I've been doing this for years and years and years, but when you said put in the work, this was all very weird and confusing to me when I started. So I needed prompts. I would
Mhm.
just take little notebooks and I'm like, I don't even know if I can come up with 3 gratitudes.
Yeah.
So I would write 3 gratitudes
Yeah.
and then I would use my notebook sitting in front of me because I had read a meditation book that said, why does everybody want to meditate with their eyes closed? What is wrong with you people? Okay. Now I wanted meditation to help me in every moment I went into. So
Yeah.
he said, why don't you, I would suggest at least half of the time that you meditate, practice meditating with your eyes open. Because when you're in a stressful situation and you want to use that tool belt to bring you calm, what are you going to do in front of the person you're standing in front of? Just close your eyes? What is wrong with you? Okay. You have to practice with the distractions. You have to. So I started practicing these things as I was walking.
Mhm.
And what I ended up doing is something like the joy is okay, so I want joy today. So I'm already going to give thanks for the joy that I'm going to feel, experience today. And then I am going to provide joy to everyone I interact with today.
Mhm.
Dear Lord, I want to thank you for the joy that I will experience today.
Mhm.
Breathing out, I am going to give everyone every ounce of joy that I have.
Mhm.
And I would say that 3 different ways,
Mhm.
just to focus on the word joy. I would give gratitude for the joy, and then I would give the joy back out. And that gave me my intention. I can't go get a cup of coffee at Caribou. Are you freaking kidding me? Without giving them joy.
Yeah.
And I will never, ever forget. I was doing this. I'll just say this one thing because this just makes me so emotional even thinking about this. So my rule is I can't take my phone out of the car if I go into like a coffee shop.
Okay.
I can't take my phone out of the car if I go to Chipotle is one place I go because I know I can get a vegan burrito. Okay. So I can't take the phone out of my car. And the rule of thumb is, unless I'm with someone, the rule of thumb is when my foot hits the ground when I leave the car, I will meditate until the person says, can I help you? Now, because I'm in line, that might be 5 minutes, it might be 15 minutes, just kind of depends. And if I go during the lunch hour or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I will meditate and I will breathe in gratitude and breathe out service until there's only 2 reasons why I'll stop. If someone interacts with me in line, which almost nobody will.
I was just wondering if people just come up to you wanting to talk to you.
And so because they all got their heads in their phones, so
Yeah.
nobody talks to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be with them and just have my head in the phone. So if they interact with me, that human is more important than my practice
Mhm.
every time. Then when they say, can I help you? That's when I'll stop. But the whole time I'm breathing in gratitude and breathing out service. So this is what happened in real time at this Chipotle that I'm used to going at. And I've had almost the exact same thing happen at a local coffee shop. I got done and I'm ready to pay. This is the effect that we can have on people without even trying, just because we're putting in the work.
Yeah.
They see it. They experience it in real time. They felt and experienced gratitude and service. I wasn't even trying, and this isn't putting, patting me on the back. This was my real life experience. They're like, I hope you have a good day. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't pay. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to work for us today. And I'm like, I'm so confused. I'm like, what? And they said, you're not going to be paying today. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. I didn't pay. He goes, I know, and you won't be paying today. Now you get that feeling every once in a while that a bunch of people are looking at you. And I'm like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. All of a sudden I looked, and everybody in the line, that the cooking line, was looking at me and smiling like freaking Goonie birds. I'm like, what is going on here? I thought I was being punked. And they said, we just wanted to let you know that you come in here quite often, and we don't know what it is. I just got goosebumps. I want to cry.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't know what it is, but some reason when you walk in, you have an impact. And that was the word that they used. You have an impact on us every single time you come in, and we've talked about it, and we don't know or understand what it is. And so we don't even know how to thank you. So today, we've all agreed when we saw you come in that you won't be paying today. And I looked over and they're smiling like Goody birds. And then the people in line are like, what the frick is going on here?
Yeah.
Okay. And all I do is I meditate from the moment I walk in the door to the moment they say thank you. And then what I do is I just pay attention to their names on their shirts on the way out, and I call each one of them by name. And somehow that's had an impact on them. And I had some gal at a coffee shop almost do the same thing. She goes, do you mind if I come around the counter and just hug you? And I'm like, sure, I'm a hugger, let's go. But it's putting in the work. But it's amazing the impact that it can have on yourself, but it's amazing the impact that it can have on perfect strangers.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. No, I mean, I was just talking about this with someone yesterday of, you'll never know. Sometimes it'll take people years. I have people come up to me that I've never met, and I'll meet them at a conference or something. They'll come up to me and say, you have made an impact on me over the last 5 years. I find you on social media or whatever you might be, and this is what I'm hearing from you. And I'm like, I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding type thing. Like, yeah, our energy has an impact. Our presence has an impact, and people want to feel seen, and you help people feel seen. Like, yeah.
So it's interesting that, what does the work look like? Sometimes the work is very private. It just is.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I've done is I've moved the work out into my public life, but without saying it, addressing it, putting it on a stage as well. I do the same thing when I go into Target. I won't take my phone into Target. I walk through and I look for situations I literally walk through Target, and my goal is, can I find 3 things in Target that blew my ever-living mind that I'm grateful for? I don't know what that is, but that's my gratitude practice. And I literally honor and respect the word practice. I'm in there practicing, looking for the things that I could be grateful for. And then this is not the funnest or easiest part for me, is if I see it, is to challenge myself to point it out to the person. And that can sometimes feel weird or uncomfortable. Not all of us are that outgoing that we're just going to go tell someone that we saw them do something that we're like, you gotta be kidding me. You may not know it, but you just blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw them make a nice gesture to someone, when I saw a single mother that was trying to check out and her baby is screaming at the top of her lungs, so she can't really even finish the process. And somehow the person at the register startled the baby, and the baby's like, and now he's having a conversation with the baby, and it changed that mother's life for that moment. She could now get back to doing the business that she needed to do to finish things out. Nothing was in control for her. And I'll go through line and say, do you realize what you just did? Because I'm just going to tell you right now, I did. That was freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's looking for 3 things. Every place you go in, leave your phone in the car. And it's taking that gratitude practice, the meditation practice that we talk about in the gratitude practice. I mix all of the affirmations and the gratitude practice and the meditation together. And so it's almost like my entire day is like a walking meditation.
I love that. And the thing you just reminded me of too is I'm constantly looking for ways to show people that I see them. And so what I started doing in the last couple of years, I realized is I wanted to be more intentional with sharing that with my family and friends. So the people that I'm
Okay.
closest to, because oftentimes the people we're closest to, it just kind of becomes a habit to kind of be how you are
Yep.
with your family. You don't really think about it because you're with them all the time. And so I started calling things out, and like my mom and dad or my aunts that said, hey, I see, just want you to know, like, you're a really good aunt. Or like, I'll tell my parents, just so you guys know, you're like the best parents I've ever met in my entire life, because they truly are some of the
You're amazing.
best
Yep.
best parents, because they not because of any particular one thing, but because they're just loving,
Yeah.
period. And so it just, I mean, there's something about it that when you help someone identify what they're good at or what they did, it's really empowering, not only for them, but I mean, you have the gift of, like, you've just given them a gift. It's the best kind of gift.
And we could have the gift and not give it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And how sad and pathetic. That
Mhm.
sounds harsh, but to me, that's how I feel. If
Mhm.
I saw that happen for that mother, and I saw that person literally change what could happen and what was possible in that moment, and to be affected by that, to be impacted by that, to notice that, and to say nothing and just let them ring me out and go home,
Mhm.
I couldn't be less impressed with myself if that's what I chose to do.
Yeah, no.
I'll be honest, that's a lot easier for me. It's just, I just want to go through I just want to get home. I just want to get home. Okay.
Yeah.
Dina will tell you, I mean, I come across as social, but I'm a hermit. I love, just get me home. Okay. I would love just to get through there and get home.
Yeah.
That's not the best version of me.
Yeah. No, I'm very much the same way. I feel like when I walk into my house, I'm like, oh, okay, I can pause for a minute. But if I'm at Target or if I'm at a grocery store, I pull myself back into the moment and I say, okay, we can do this.
Yep.
Like, let's acknowledge what you're seeing in this moment, because in this moment, this is not going to happen. There was a guy at the grocery store that I was getting some turkey from, a deli guy, and
Yep.
he came across and he saw my sweatshirt I was wearing. It was a Seattle Art Museum sweatshirt. And
Okay.
he's like, oh, the Sam, I love the Sam. I've really missed them during COVID. I said, I know, me too. I used to work there. And we talked for like 5 minutes. And he was like, I really appreciate this conversation, because all of these conversations that I've had during COVID are what have kept me going. Because he said, I'm normally a very social person. And so he just, he took a moment to ask me a couple other questions outside of what kind of meat would you like? And, and it made that whole interaction happen. And that's exactly what my dad did
Yeah.
in the 40 years that he worked at the grocery store. Is all he did was acknowledge people, look at them, and say something to them that made them feel seen. And that's why his line was always the longest. Like,
And you and I have known each other for a while, love each other. So we had no idea. We could talk for an hour, 2 hours, and the conversation could go anywhere. We didn't know when we started what direction this conversation would go. But for self-awareness sake, let's just address kind of where we've hit. Is we started with personal development and almost went into, there was some great stuff just on meditation in there. Now it almost seems as though we're talking about two things, at least from my perspective, is there's enough things wrapped in and everything we've talked about in the last 15 minutes that we're almost now at the point of talking about a gratitude practice.
mm-hmm.
And if you're in a gratitude practice, and for me, the number is always 3, I'm constantly on the search. Are there 3 things that I can find that I'm grateful for? Okay, so if I am looking for 3 things, to look is to seek.
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost the definition of being present. Can you really look for something, seek something without being present?
No.
I don't even think that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
So the gratitude practice, the practice is not just being grateful. It's actually, to me, gratitude is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
It's an
Oh, yeah.
action word. And
Yeah.
if you are seeking, looking for, it's almost a definition of when people say, I just want to become more present. Present isn't the goal. Being more present isn't the goal. It's the reward of
Yeah.
an amazing gratitude practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I love how you say that because at first I was confused by what you meant by that exactly. But then when I thought about what I do naturally, I know that sometimes people have said that I talk really fast and I process through ideas really fast. But what they don't realize is at the same time, I actually go really slow. And I'll say, hey, did you see that? Like, look at the light right there by my plant. It's making the shape of a heart on the wall. Isn't that cool? Like, and then, and then I'll talk about the clouds outside. So for me, gratitude is in everything. It is in everything. And it is, you're right, it's a seeking process. So I'm constantly looking for all the things that are pleasing to my eye, that make me feel good, and there's always something. So
Look for, to seek. Literally, it's as close to the definition of being present, of presence as possible.
yeah.
So and I know I've posted that, whatever it is, meme or whatever, because our friend Sarah heard me say it. And so she made me a beautiful little graphic about it, is that being present is not the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reward.
Mm-hmm.
The truly amazing, I don't know what word she used, but for me right now, I'm thinking amazing gratitude practice.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I see it. I see being present. If I'm trying to become present, I'll be honest, I could become frustrated. I just I don't feel present. You know, it's like someone who goes into meditation, who's new to meditation, and their mind's wandering and they're frustrated because I'm failing at my meditation practice. I'm failing at being present. I don't even worry about being present. I worry about my gratitude practice.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my gratitude practice, I'm almost freakishly present. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it all day long.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting close to an hour. And I'm on the third question. We got about 8 more to go. Okay. So I just want to look real quick here and see if there's anyone that would help us on the way out here. Okay. I don't know if this is one that you're going to be able to answer or not right now. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. But we talked about some areas of personal development areas that you have grown in, and whether it be communication. I consider the area that you've grown in communication due to one of them is the book that you took on this ridiculous journey that, Fierce Conversations. That is a lot about communication, and you went on that on a personal development. You've also gone on personal development. I've seen you go on personal development spiritually. I've seen you go on personal development in meditation. What do you see as next, or what is current? What's the area that you just need work in right now? You want personal development in that area.
Receiving in a number of different ways, but receiving specifically abundance and feeling worthy.
Is that a fairly new awareness for you, that that's what you want, or that's what you need, or that's the area that you want to grow, or has that been a little while now?
I think it's been just like about 2 years. So it's still fairly new for me because it means that I'm still exploring exactly how do I attack that. Attack is like my word for what's the angle I'm going to take with this? Who do I look to for help with this? What exactly does that feel like?
The phrase that we use, we got to be willing to put in the work. So what is the work
Yeah, so right now I'm still I would consider myself still in the research mode.
Okay.
Of meeting with different people and thinking about different books I can read, and digging into what are some affirmations that I can say, what makes me uncomfortable, where do I feel some resistance,
Okay.
because that's what helps give me a kind of the signal or the sign okay, that's where I need to go with this, that's where I need to dig in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and starting my own business has definitely been a big part of that, because it's actually, if I think about it, it's a way that I've turned and faced it directly. I mean, here I am completely vulnerable, open, I'm creating my own world. I'm having to create my own money to be able to pay my bills. And so I'm really, this is probably the biggest move I've made towards that in a lot of ways.
I think the word exposed is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
think it is. I mean, you're exposing yourself financially. You've given that story out a few times in different interviews I've seen you with. You're exposed in the sense that, what if the things I want to share with the world aren't received?
Mm-hmm.
What if they're not as exciting to everybody else as I'm just wired out of my mind about?
Mm-hmm.
That could be painful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just you're exposed on a lot of different levels, you
Mm-hmm.
know, exposed also in the sense of what we just talked about, that there are areas I think you bring a lot of gifts to people, but there's also that exposure of, okay, I may be able to bring these gifts to you, but I'm showing you a couple areas that I'm not that strong in yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know in my business and stuff like that, there's certainly people that have come to me and we work together for sometimes a week or two, and then sometimes a month or two, and there's something just not feeling right, and I have to expose myself and go, you know what, are you feeling that I'm not the right person for you? Because that's how I'm feeling. I mean, I honestly, and I'm going to refer you off to, I really think you need to call Michelle Spalding. I think you need to call Christy Belt Grossman. I think you need to call Kathleen. I think, you know a number of the people that are in your guys' retreat right now. I pushed a couple of them that way. I'm like, right now, you don't need our twice a month coaching. Invest every dollar into that. That's a year-long program, and it's all about personal development. And I'll tell you right now, I love that topic, but you need personal development. And just so you know what I was telling them, you need personal development. You're getting some of that with me. You need personal development today within a community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were missing. And I think that's part of kind of how we started the conversation. I guess how we're ending is, I think there's a power in what you're doing right now, just not in the topics.
What do you mean?
It's not just the personal developed topic. It is the fact that you've created a community for these, I'll say women, because most of them, are there any guys, by the way, that signed up for this? Two. Okay. Okay. But there's a community, and that's what I felt would bring them the most value, is I can talk about personal development, Mo can talk about personal development, but what Mo is putting together right now and what Kathleen is putting together is a community. And
you're really right. That's
huge.
Part of that is me teaching them that I didn't get here by myself or with one leader. I got here because of the community. I mean, the reason I am where I am today is because I networked and I created a community and I entered a community and I pulled myself in, even if I was shy 1,000 times over or introverted, however I was feeling in the moment. But it's the network and the community that got me to where I am. And so that's why I'm such a big believer in creating them and then teaching them how. Like, a lot of people just don't know how. How do I do community? What does that look like?
Yeah.
A lot of them just sit back passively. And I'm like, oh no, this is not a passive thing. This is an actively, you're asking questions, you're listening, you're engaging, you're being present, you're being grateful. And so it's teaching people how to do community again, I feel like.
I love that you just said that, because there's one person I'm thinking specifically that I really had suggested that she become a part of this, is I felt that the community was the missing part. But what you just said is some people don't know how to do community. And I felt there was two sides to that coin for her that she didn't know how to do, because she's used to doing it on her own, is be a part of the community and receive from the community and see enough value in herself that she was also going to bring value to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those sides of the coin of community, she's more than qualified for.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that, and I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
That's not what she was seeing.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So I think what you're doing has such power in so many different levels. So I just love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it when. I love it when this book, no. I love you. Anything else on the way out?
No, this has just been a fun, awesome conversation. So I appreciate you asking me to talk about things that I love and, that challenge me too.
Yeah. And I love that we're both willing to be challenged on these. Neither one of us, I think we're both fairly fanatical on personal development. And not that we're fanatical because we've reached it. No, not even close.
No, it's like what you said earlier. It's like, it's because I realized that I have to be this way in order to keep myself focused on it. I mean, it's almost like I work harder at it because I feel like I need it more than other people. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I love it.
You're going to stick around for a minute because we're going to say goodbye, but huge love to you. Thank you for doing this. All right, everyone. Thank you. This is Mo the Great Smith. See you guys later.